Well, we begin with a disturbing murder investigation in Northwest Harris County. It's a story that we first broke on Eyewitness News at 11.
Yes, it was a welfare check that led detectives to a body hidden in a garage. We want to show you a map that shows the area that we're talking about. It's a home on Cactus Point near Barker Cypress and Cypress, Northwest Harris County.
Investigators say relatives reported the elderly woman missing. After getting a search warrant, detectives found her stuffed in a crate. Now her son is accused of killing her.
ABC 13's Courtney Carpenter is live now with an update from investigators. Courtney?
Now, guys, this really just a horrific situation. There's one deputy in Harris County Animal Control out here now. Investigators were here at the home processing evidence throughout most of the day. Now they're just working to figure out what may have been the motive for this murder. This homicide investigation began after a welfare check as family members of 72-year-old Lucilla Barnes reported her missing to authorities, saying they hadn't seen her since Tuesday.
They met with the victim's son, and he was somewhat hostile with them and wouldn't let them in the house.
When deputies arrived at the Northwest Harris County home, they say they were given conflicting information from 36-year-old Robert Barnes, Lucilla's son.
They obtained a search warrant for the residence. Once they made it inside the residence, they discovered a large amount of blood inside the residence, but could not locate the victim.
Homicide investigators then made the gruesome discovery in the garage. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez saying Miss Barnes' dismembered body was found in a crate. Robert Barnes has been charged with murder and tampering with a corpse in connection with the death of his mother. Now, one of the investigators I spoke with earlier today did say that the son accused in all of this had been living here in the home with his mom for the past couple of years. Guys, we'll continue to keep you updated. Reporting live from Northwest Harris County, Courtney Carpenter, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Just a horrible story, Courtney. Thank you. Well, federal investigators have revealed new details about Tuesday's plane crash in Waller County. We learned the takeoff was likely aborted and the pilots were trying to stop the plane before it rolled past the runway through a fence and went up in flames. The NTSB released this photo of the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder of that McDonnell Douglas MD-87 plane. Those boxes were recovered yesterday. NTSB agents are also reviewing the plane's maintenance history. ABC 13's Pooja Lodia joins us live. And Pooja, when is the last time this plane was used before the crash?
Well, we know that the last flight was in December of last year, but investigators out here are still hoping to learn a lot more. We have been speaking to passengers, those who were on that plane. They tell us that they still feel terrified. They had to leave everything they had behind, even their own cell phones. We're also learning that this was difficult for the first responders, too. We all watched as emergency crews got the flames under control. But we didn't know at the time that about 1 in 5 of those responding were volunteer. Very few on scene had ever worked an aircraft fire.
Basically, you're fighting a metal building that's on wheels. That metal building rolls out there, and most of what's in it is flammable. The engines were still running when my firefighters got there.
There are no hydrants in this rural area, so all the water you saw had to be brought in on trucks.
We had 4,300 gallons of fuel on the ground coming out of that aircraft. We can't halfway do it. We have to be all in to get the fire out and get a blanket over everything of foam that will keep those fumes from that fuel from reigniting.
Tonight, at least one passenger, 78-year-old Ken Melber, is still in the hospital with a fractured back. His family says he had to be helped off the plane, and we're now learning how that happened.
The flight mechanic who was on the flight was the one that opened the main cabin door on the front left of the aircraft, and we believe all aboard exited the main cabin door using the automatically inflated evacuation slide.
Investigators now believe the pilot applied the brake multiple times before the plane veered off the runway.
And we have distinct wheel marks from all 3 landing gear. There's actually 2 tires per gear, so we have 6 distinct impressions on the grass going to the perimeter fence.
A lot of those memorable calls aren't very pleasant, and that was the fears I was going to come to this and deal with the aftermath of my responders having to deal with a very big tragedy.
NTSB investigators expect to be here on the ground here in Waller County for at least another week or two as they really begin this investigation. Reporting live, Pooja Lodia, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Still struck by the miraculous ending there for everyone. Thank you, Pooja. Well, the search continues for the gunman who shot 3 Precinct 4 deputy constables, killing one of them. Investigators say the deputies were ambushed while working an extra job as a security at the club on Saturday morning while responding to a robbery. Deputy Kareem Atkins was killed. Deputy Daryl Garrett remains hospitalized. And yesterday, Deputy Joaquin Barthen was released from the hospital. We still know very few details about the suspect. Private investigators not working this case offered us some insight into why there's been no public statement on the suspect. They say either the investigators have somebody in mind and don't want to cause that suspect to run, or it's entirely possible investigators still have nothing. In the meantime, there is now a $76,000 reward for information which leads to an arrest. So if you know anything, you are being asked to call the Houston police. The visitation and funeral for Deputy Atkins is next Monday, October 25th. It's being held at Champions Forest Baptist Church on Stubner Airline. Visitation for the department and the public is from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m., followed by the funeral.
The NTSB says the driver involved in last April's deadly Tesla crash in the Spring area was indeed behind the wheel when it happened. This was based partly on the examination of the steering wheel, which was bent outward because of the impact. Now, you remember there was speculation that the vehicle's autopilot feature had been activated and the driver was not behind the wheel. The NTSB says the driver was speeding when it ran off the road and crashed, causing that big fire. Both the driver and the passenger were killed. Police have a person in custody after a wild chase with a stolen ambulance, and part of it was caught on camera. There it goes, and it all happened overnight. Police say the ambulance was briefly left running at Memorial Hermann Hospital while paramedics were helping another patient. Officers at the hospital saw the suspect looking into cars, and when they approached him, he climbed into that ambulance and took off. The chase ended 30 minutes later. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
Again, all these guys did a great job on a very stressful situation. This could have ended badly for a lot of people.
Both the ambulance and police cars were missing tires after running over spike strips. The man now faces several charges.